So, in terms of social behavior, I'm going to make two presentations, one about prosocial and one about aggression. I guess we could say antisocial behaviors, that sort of the opposite of prosocial. And prosocial behavior is any of those times that a child is doing something nice, doing something helpful, those things that they're doing voluntarily. Someone's not forcing them to do it, but that behavior is benefiting others. It's making things more pleasant in their interactions with others. And sometimes you'll hear the word altruism, which is a particular type of prosocial behavior in which the person who's doing that kind, positive thing, uh, they're not expecting something in return. They're not expecting an exchange for that. Now, our young children do tend to have a sort of tit for tat notion in their behavior. What's being nice is if I do something nice for you, you do something nice for me. What's fair is if one person gets a sticker, then everybody gets a sticker. So they have that view of equity and exchange in their interactions. And so altruism is a behavior that you really see come along with decreasing egocentrism as children grow older. So here's some examples of prosocial behavior that we might see among fifth graders: comforting a friend who's in distress or helping them, or making someone smile or laugh, sharing things, complimenting others, giving them encouragement, inviting others to join in a group or an activity, apologizing for mistakes, standing up for their peers who were wronged, using good manners, helping to avoid or stop fights, being honest, and intentionally trying not to hurt other people's feelings. Those are all examples of kindness, of things that a 12-year-old might do to show prosocial behavior. Let's look at some of the developmental trends in prosocial behavior. An 8-month toddler, across the board, we see this tendency for infants to want to be helpful and want to share with their caregivers and those around them. By 12 months, sharing and cooperating with parents is such a common human characteristic that the absence of those behaviors indicate the, a concern. It's a red flag that there could be a concern here. By a year and a half, most children try to help their parents with chores without being asked, and those helpful uh, efforts may be sort of self-centered in their own right, but they do try to emulate and help along there. Toddlers will express sympathy and comfort for others, but the way they do that is still an egocentric way. And so, for example, if you ask a young child how to make someone else feel better, they'll talk about things that would make them feel better. Okay, so they still have that egocentric view, even though they're wanting to help and comfort others. By two, we see this increased self-interest. It's this combination of egocentrism and a developing sense of theory of the mind and a developing sense, a developing experience with resources. And so we see that impulse to share become more inhibited. And so you actually see a decline in children sharing across the toddler years. By early childhood, children in the preschool years will be more selective about their prosocial behavior. They'll use it more intentionally. They do honestly want to help others when they see others in distress, but they again have this sort of tit for tat kind of expectation. Now, sometimes we will hear people speak of pro-social behavior as almost a vaccination against aggression, that we can reduce or even eliminate aggression by teaching young children to be more pro-social. And to some degree, If you're spending more time doing pro-social things, then less of your time can be doing antisocial things. But don't mistake pro-social behavior as a absence of aggression, because many times young children can do things that are pro-social in one way but antisocial in another way. So, uh, you hurt my friend's feelings, so I'm gonna push you. See, an aggressive element in that what was intended or viewed in an egocentric way as a pro-social kind of behavior. So there can be both positives and negatives. By middle childhood and the elementary school years, children display a wide variety of pro-social behaviors. We saw some examples with the fifth graders. They are increasingly targeting their pro-social behaviors to familiar and favored peers. So they increasingly share only with peers that they know or are familiar with, for example. They become more skilled at pro-social behavior if they are assigned to take care of their younger siblings, and so they have this sort of more nurturant types of experience. So overall, what we to see is actually a decline, and then that decline actually continues as children enter the adolescent years, a decline in those overall kind and helpful sorts of behaviors. So, some things that predict prosocial behavior: a child's overall emotional competence, their overall ability to empathize and feel empathy for others. And so that's the inverse of egocentrism, right? Parental responsiveness, how responsive the parent is to the child, and attachment. So the quality of attachment is associated with increased prosocial behaviors. Parents' values, parents who display and demonstrate and teach a, a, a an importance of pro-social, helpful, kind kinds of behaviors, that's associated with children displaying more of them. Parents' use of discipline is associated here too. So parents' use of power assertive, authoritarian kinds of styles is associated with less pro-social behavior. But when they use induction, especially when it's centered on the impact of the victim. And what that means is inductive discipline is when a parent gives a brief explanation for why there is a rule, why they've redirected the child's behavior, that the child's behavior is having an impact on others. And it helps those young children who are very concrete thinkers and egocentric to see that their behaviors can have an impact on others. So instead of saying, this is the rule because I said so and I have the power, it's this is the rule because you can hurt this other child if you keep swinging that around. Okay, so it's showing the child and pointing out to the child repeatedly that their behavior has this impact on others, and it helps them to develop that self-discipline, and that is associated with increases in pro-social behavior. There's also a link here with reinforcement. So especially praise and genuine, sincere praise, and especially when it's tied in with that kind of inductive statement. So, I'm so proud that you did this because it had this positive effect. Tangible rewards, giving children stickers or ice cream or something. We don't want to use food as a reward. Uh, but giving them that physical thing as a reward, that's actually can decrease pro-social behavior, because children, that's relying on that external source and not pointing out that internal source, and so it can actually cause the pro-social behavior to decline. Now I'm going to stop here, and I'll start a new presentation about antisocial or aggressive behavior.